Hi guys, just wanted to do a quick video for you, more to do with the case this time than the actual quad. For any of you that got the QAV250, you'll be very familiar with the fact that QAV250 do these awesome cases that you can get that are custom fit for the quad. It's been fantastic. I really like this case. I always have done, and a lot of people do. Makes it very portable. Close the case, throw it in the back of the car. It's brilliant. Only problem is I've recently got the, if you've seen any of my previous videos, you've noticed that I have got the angled motor mount extensions for my QAV. And while they are absolutely fantastic, so that means I can now run the 6-inch props and have that little extra authority because these are out a little wider, and of course you've got the fantastic 10 degrees of forward angle, which is awesome. This no longer fits inside the case, which is a massive pain, and I was pretty disappointed when I finally got it all back together and just didn't think about that at the time. It's, you know, one of those things, go put it back in the case, massive disappointment. Anyway, I think I've come up with a solution. I did go and look at some different cases, something slightly bigger. Obviously this will not fit in, you can see it's just too far over the edge to fit in now. So for the sharper eyed amongst you, you may have noticed what I've done here. What I actually did was cut away some sections, and by doing so I've now been able to rotate this section 90 degrees, and if I just move this now back into here, you will see that this should all go back together rather nicely. And with a bit of luck, with that all now repositioned, we can now put the QAV back in, and voila, we now have a case that fits. Looks almost as good as it did before. I mean, there's a couple of little lines here, but you could quite easily glue those if you wanted to just get things a little bit neater. And the lid closes and latches. Fantastic, all back in the same case. So, was this difficult? No, it was not difficult at all. This is actually a really easy modification to do. I've even managed to go as far as to fill in some of the gaps, cut away some little extra sections to make this all fit and work nicely. It was very simple. This foam is actually very easy to work with. I was originally thinking about getting a piece of, when I found out the dimensions were going to fit with the quad this way round, I was originally just going to get a whole new piece of foam block and put it in there. But it wasn't until I thought about it and realised obviously this piece of foam fits perfectly. Cutting off to exactly the right dimensions, which you would have to cut it down to, what have we got here, 22.7 centimetres. So that is what we're talking about there. That's the length you'd have to cut it down to. I actually did this with a really sharp kitchen knife and it worked fine. This stuff actually cuts away, it's like cutting through butter. It's really easy to work with this foam. So I made those two cuts, which left me with these two side pieces, and obviously because the actual volume of the foam that was left was exactly the same and it was to the correct width, it actually just slots straight back in the right places. What I then had to do was make some extra cuts around the sections that I put back in, just so that it would accommodate for the back edge of this motor. The other thing I did was take these little pieces. So these were the prop retainers before, which you'll notice these little blocks kind of sat up. When the original motor, which would have been here, I'll find a 5-inch prop here, I'll show you. The original motor, which would have sat, well, with it the other way round, would have sat about there. The prop would have sat between two of these retainers. So what I did with those was just cut a little bit off the bottom so that they go all the way flush. Same with that side, so I've been able to fill in a lot of these little gaps with the spare block. I mean, there's some of the parts that ended up getting cut away, so you know, I could go and fill some sections back in. As it happened, I ended up cutting out some blocks so that I've got somewhere to put my Mobius, and you know, it's ended up being almost as bespoke as it was. The only downside really is that I can not put this in the case with the props on, because now I'm running 6-inch props. Even if I was running 5-inch props, there's no way for it to fit now because of, you know, because of the size of the arms now. But that's no real biggie. That's not a problem. I think we've still got a really good solution here. That takes, you know, seconds to put your props on. And if you're an FPV racer like me and a lot of these guys now, you'll be going through props so much you're used to taking them off and on all the time. The other thing I did as well was just make a small extension, let's pull the QAV out, to this section. So I also cut away a little bit more just so that I could fit the 6-inch props in there as well. But either way, I can't really say there's any real problems with it at all. It all goes back in the way it should. You have to tuck the battery wire in if you're going to leave it on there, because it is quite close. But there you go, we have a solution, and we don't have to go out and get another case. Everyone's a winner. So yeah, I hope you enjoy that. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments section. I'll do my best to answer them, and if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. More to follow. Cheers.